What is up, guys? Hope you all are having an amazing day. So in this video I'm going to be covering Alela Cunning Conqueror, which is a 4-mana 2/4 fairy warlock with flying, and also reads whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, create a 1/1 black fairy rogue creature token with flying. Also reads whenever one or more fairies you control deals combat damage to a player, go target creature that player controls. So I believe goad is you goad a creature and then that creature cannot attack you whatsoever, and I think unless you're like the last target, then there's no other legal target. And yeah, so you goad a creature and then that creature attacks every other player besides you. Whatever happens with that creature is it's not your problem, but you do get to go with the creature. And so I'll just cut right to the chase. The win condition in this deck is Narumaya, Master Wizard. Where is it? Ghostly Flicker, and then Sun Scorched Desert, which is the only non-basic land in this deck. In the list we have Dimmer Infiltrator, which is a 2-mana 1/3 unblockable creature, but for transmute 3 you can search for any 2 CMC card. I use it in this deck to tutor for Ghostly no, not Ghostly Flicker. But you use her to tune in to tutor for any 2-mana spell. Sometimes yeah, it's gonna look for a 2-mana spell, whether that is removal or counter spell or any other card that you might use. Then we have Fairy Bladecrafter, which is a 3-mana 2/2 fairy rogue that reads whenever one or more fairies you control deals combat damage to a player with a +1/+1 counter on Fairy Bladecrafter. And then when Fairy Bladecrafter dies, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is its power. So with all the 1/1 fairy rogues you create, this will buff up very well. You have Fairy Seer. This is a 1-mana flying 1/1, but it enters and then it's scry 2. It's also a fairy, so you can deal damage with it and goad creatures. Then you have Merfolk Looter, which is draw and discard. You have Murmuring Mystic. So because this deck is somewhat of a control and spell slinger deck, creating 1/1 bird illusion creature tokens with flying helps you a lot. Then we have one piece of the win condition, which is Narumaya Master Wizard. We have Notion Thief. The card was just too good to not include. It's basically a 4-mana. If an opponent would draw a card except the first one he or she draws in each of her draw steps, instead that player skips that draw and you draw a card. So whenever a player draws a card except their first one, then you do instead. We have Numerous Unas Trickster. It's a 5-mana 1/6 with flash and flying. And then it reads whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other into the graveyard. We have Obsessive Stitcher. It's a reanimation card, but you can also draw and discard for 3 mana. And then we have Painseer, one of my all-time favorite cards to include in any list that uses black. When its inspired effect is when it's untapped, you reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to that card's converted mana cost. Then we have Tolerant Sky Summoner, also same as Murmuring Mystic, but you create 2/2 drakes instead of 1/1s. Wavebreak Hippocamp, just such a good card in any deck that uses blue. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. And in this deck you will be using a lot of instant spells to interact with the opponent in their turn. You'll create a 1/1 and you will draw a card off Wavebreak Hippocamp. Then we have Woodwind, the Biting Gale. With Woodwind you can play her for 4 mana and has flash. And then you pay 1 life and you return Biting Gale to its owner's hand. and that also helps you to cast a spell in the opponent's turn. And also, where is it? Whenever you play whenever you play a spell during an opponent's turn, you may have each opponent lose 1 life. So you play Fairy Tauntings and then Woodwind with your infinite mana, and then you ping every player for 1, and it's also a win condition. Then we have Agonizing Remorse. You target opponent reveals a hand, you choose a non-land, you exile it, and you lose 1 life. Then we have a Tutor with Diabolic Tutor, 4 mana, search a card, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Then we have Distant Melody. Choose a creature type, draw a card for each permanent you control of that type. You will create, essentially, you will be controlling a lot of fairies, so you draw a lot of cards with that. You have Feed the Swarm, destroy target creature or artifact an opponent controls. You lose life equal to that the permanent's converted mana cost. We have Illicit Shipment, 5 mana, tutor for card, shuffle your library, put in your hand. But it also has casualty 3, so you can sacrifice a creature with power or power 3 or greater, and then you copy that spell. Into the Fey Court, draw 3 cards, create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying, and this creature can block. This creature can block only creatures with the flying. So this is a 5 mana, draw a lot of spells, and you create fairies. That's to get right. 5 mana, you search for a card and you put it in your hand and shuffle. Or for 1 mana, you can cycle. Then we have Read the Bones, scry 2, draw 2 cards, you lose a life for 3 mana, sorcery speed. Then we get into the spells that you play in the opponent's turn. First off, we have Behold the Multiverse, which is just scry 2, draw 2 cards unless you foretell, and then you cast it for 2 mana. We have Blink of an Eye, it's 2 mana, and then you kick for additional 2 mana, and then you draw a card. Otherwise, you just return permanent to its owner's hand. Cast Down, destroy target non-legendary creature. Very low to the ground removal to deal with, let's say, a Darkside Extortionist or any other spell that isn't legendary. Counter spell, I don't need to say more, you just counter target spell. Deliberate, scry 2, draw a card for 2 mana. Then dig through times, 8 mana, you took at the top 7, put 2 of them in your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. It's also instant speed, and you'll be casting a lot of spells, so your graveyard will fill nicely for the delve cost. Then we have Dispel, which counters target instant spell, counters other counter magic or any instant like removal. We have Dissolve, counter target spell, scry 1 for 3 mana. We have Dive Down, target creature you control gets +0/+3 and gains hexproof. We have Eliminate, 2 mana, destroy target creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost 3 or less. We have Ghostly Flicker, 3 mana, also part of the win condition. One of the win conditions is you exile 2 artifact creatures and or lands you control. Then those cards return those cards to the battlefield under your control. Then we have Keep Watch, 3 mana, draw a card for each attacking creature. Hopefully it will be a lot. Mystical Teachings, 3 mana, search for an instant card or a card with flash. Reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle. So you get to look for an instant card. Or for 6 mana, you can flash back it to cast it again. Good old Negate, just counter target non-creature spell. Very, very good in any counter magic. Again, where you need counter magic. It also counters other artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers, and sorcery and instant spells, which is just very good. Then we have Opt, scry 1, draw a card. We will create a 1/1 with Opt. Then we have Pile On. It's a 4 mana instant with a Convoke that says destroy target creature or planeswalker. Surveil 2, which is very good. Then we have Price of Fame, one of my favorite removal cards in any budget deck. If it's targeting a legendary, you can pay 2 mana and then you destroy target creature and surveil. Or you pay 4 mana if it's not targeting a legendary. Then we have Repulse, return target creature to its owner's hand, draw a card. You can bounce something and then draw a card for 3 mana, and you create a 1/1 through Alela, which is a good value. Then we have Sinister Sabotage, 3 mana counter spell, then you surveil 1. Spell Pierce, not counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2. Then we have Spell Stutter, counter target spell unless its controller pays 2 plus an additional 1 for each fairy you control. So it's just very good if you control a lot of fairies. Let's say you control 6, then that player will need to pay 2 and 6 additional for each fairy you control. 1 additional for each fairy you control. Then you have Village Rites, 1 mana, sacrifice creature, draw 2 cards. Whirlwind Denial, one of my favorite cards to use. Not only does this counter each ability or trigger, yes, for each spell and ability your opponent control, counter it unless its controller pays 4. It counters every instant sorcery spell on the stack unless they pay 4, which to me is like a very budget what's the word, Flutterstorm. Then we're getting to the artifacts, the ramp mostly. We have included a Sol Ring, which is not always common, but we managed to get a Sol Ring. Then we have Arcane Signet, which is a 2 mana artifact, taps for any color of your commander's identity. Then we have Charcoal Diamond, 2 mana comes in tapped, and you tap it for 1 black. Dimmer Kirun, 3 mana, taps for blue or black. Same with Dimmer Locket, 3 mana, blue or black. Then we have Dimmer Signet, which is 2 mana, but for 1 mana you tap it for 2 mana. So let's say turn 1 Sol Ring into Dimmer Signet. Next turn you tap Sol Ring, you add black and blue, and then you still have a 1 mana floating. Just very good ramp, especially if it's on the battlefield already. I think the next turn when you untap for upkeep, you will have a lot more mana. Then we have Hedron Archive, 4 mana, taps for 2 mana, and then you can sacrifice it to draw 2 cards. Then we have Mind Stone, 2 mana, taps for 1, or you can sacrifice it to draw a card. We have Mind Splice Apparatus, 4 mana flash. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an oil counter on Mind Splice Apparatus. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to catch cost for each oil counter on Mind Splice. So it shrinks down your mana needed for spells as it gets counters. Then we have Prismatic Lens, is a 2 mana artifact that taps for 1, or you can pay 1 mana to filter any mana into any colorless mana into like colored mana of your choice. We also have Sky Diamond, same as Charcoal Diamond, 2 mana, you tap it for 1 blue, and it comes in tapped. Then we got to Sol Ring, and next is Swiftfoot Boots, Poor Man's Guardian Reeves, 2 mana, and then equip for 1, you give equipped creature haste and hexproof. You mostly do it for hexproof just to protect your commander after he or she enters the battlefield. Then we have Enchantments, Fairy Tauntings, one of the win conditions along with the Whirlwind. When you play a spell during an opponent's turn, you may have each opponent lose 1 life. You have Favorable Winds, creatures you control with flying get +1/+1. Turns those fairies into 2/2s along with birds from Murmuring Mystic and Talrand's Drakes. Then we have 2 mana, Kazumuna's Transmutation. You turn any creature into a frog, a 1/1 frog. Not a 1/1 frog, but you enchant creature, it loses all abilities and have base power and toughness 1/1. Still, you can still block that it dies, but a lot of people won't kill it unless the opponent blocks with it. Then we have Leyline of Anticipation. It's such a good card in this deck. With this on the battlefield, let's say turn 0, you can cast any spell in the opponent's turn and create I believe you create 1/1s with a Layla on the battlefield. Then Omen of the Sea, it's a very good card. I like this so much. With a Layla, you create a 1/1. you scry 2, then draw a card, and you can sacrifice it for 3 mana to scry afterwards. So you can always it always sticks around. You can sacrifice it later to scry if you want to smooth out draws. Then we have Vampiric Rites. For 2 mana, you sacrifice a creature, you gain 1 life, and you draw a card. It's just a very good card. I think it's like a poor man's mind clamp. Yeah, hate clamp. Oh wow, I think it's not mind clamp. Is it? I think it's hate clamp or mind clamp. I'm actually not sure. I haven't. It's not in the deck, so I just basically forgot. But yeah. So you pay 2 mana, sacrifice a card, and then you creature. You draw a card and you lose a life. This is also a very cool infinite mana sink. If you have enough creatures, you can also gain life. Then Verity Circle. I played one game on Magic Online where I had Verity Circle on the battlefield. The opponent used he had a mana dork. I forgot who the commander was, but his commander was basically a mana dork that tapped for mana. He had an Arbor Elf and a Llanowar Elf, and he tapped all of that for mana, and I just drew a lot of cards. Since that game, Verity Circle has been like an auto include in most of my decks, and for 5 mana you tap a creature and you gain it without flying, and you draw a card. Then we have 17 islands. We have 36 lands in total, so 36 islands. Then we have one Sun Scorched Desert, which is one of the win conditions in the deck, and then we have 18 swamps. So that is it for Alela Cunning Emperor. It's a relatively new card, and I think it gained a lot of popularity. I hope this video is it's not, I wouldn't say this deck list is as unique as I would have wanted it to be, but it definitely uses some of the budget win conditions that are available, while creating its own thing using fairies and instant speed cards. This is actually the first time that I managed to fit in a ley line of anticipation in any budget deck, as it used to be a $7 or $8 rare. Now I think with the reprint the price dropped significantly. But yeah, if you like this video, just let me know if you like the video, like and subscribe please. Any support will be much appreciated. If you like to see any other specific commander that you do not know how to build on a budget, or feel that it could be built on a budget, just let me know. If I personally like the commander, I might make a video on it. Otherwise, I will just have a look and see what I can do. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching. Just subscribe if you want to see more deck videos, and I'll see you guys next time.